The sun was setting over New Buzan. Orange light painted the small houses that dotted the hillside. This was the first human colony outside Earth's solar system. Many people were finishing work for the day. But Ty was just starting his favorite activity. Ty was 56 years old. His hair was gray, and his hands showed the marks of someone who had worked with machines all his life. A retired military engineer, he now spent his evenings looking at the stars through a telescope he had built himself. Another quiet night, Ty said to himself as he adjusted his telescope. He had been doing this for years, mapping the stars above New Buzan. He knew every light in the sky by heart. That's why he noticed something different right away. "What is that?" Ty whispered. A black shape moved across his view. It was blocking the stars behind it. He adjusted his focus. The shape was a ship, but not like any ship he had ever seen before. It was dark, almost impossible to see except for how it blocked the stars. It was big, very big. Ty quickly reached for his comm unit. "Defense Center, this is Ta Kim. There's an unknown vessel in orbit. Can you confirm?" After a long pause, a confused voice answered. "We show nothing on our screens, Mr. Kim." "Are you sure?" "Look at Sector 7, near the moon. It's right there." Ty adjusted his telescope again. The ship hadn't moved. It just sat there, like a hole in the sky. 10 minutes later, alarms began to sound across New Buzan. The defense systems had finally detected the ship, but only after Ty told them exactly where to look. By morning, everyone in the colony knew about the black ship. It just sat in orbit, doing nothing. It didn't answer any calls. It didn't seem to have any lights or signals. People were scared. Some packed their things, ready to run, though there was nowhere to go. The colony's leaders met in the main hall. Administrator June, a small man with a serious face, tried to keep everyone calm. "We have sent messages to Earth, but it will take weeks for them to arrive. For now, we watch and wait," June told the crowd. Tay sat in the back of the hall. He had been invited because he was the first to see the ship. He didn't say much. He was thinking about his daughter, Mina, who worked at the colony's power plant. She would be worried. For 3 days, the black ship stayed in the same spot. People began to go back to their normal lives, though everyone kept looking up at the sky. On the 4th day, Ty was at his telescope again when he saw something new. A small part of the black ship was opening. A tiny craft, like a shuttle, came out and started moving toward New Buzan. "They're coming," he said into his comm unit. The shuttle landed in an empty field outside town. Colony security formed a ring around it, weapons ready. Todd pushed his way through the crowd that had gathered. His old military ID still got him past the security line. The shuttle door opened slowly. Everyone held their breath. A tall figure stepped out. It looked almost human, but not quite. Too tall, too thin, with skin that seemed to shift color slightly as it moved. It wore something like a simple black suit. The being looked around calmly, then spoke in perfect Korean. "Hello, I am Mr. Werlo. I have come a very long way to meet you." Administrator June stepped forward. "How do you know our language?" Mr. Werlo smiled. His teeth were very white. "We have been watching Earth for a long time. I have much to discuss with your leaders. I bring an opportunity that will change the future of humanity." Ty watched carefully. Something about Mr. Werlo made his old military instincts wake up. The alien moved too smoothly, spoke too perfectly. "What kind of opportunity?" June asked. "One that may save your species," Mr. Werlo said. "But first, we should talk somewhere more private. What I have to say is for your leaders only." As the alien was led toward the colony's main building, he turned and looked directly at Ta. Their eyes met for a moment. Ty felt cold all over. Mr. Werlo smiled again. "You were the first to see my ship. You have good eyes, old man." Then he walked away, leaving Ta wondering how the alien could possibly have known that. Administrator June paced back and forth in his office. He had called an emergency meeting, but he was not sure what to do. The alien visitor was waiting in the meeting room next door. "We need to be careful," Jun said. His hands were shaking a little. "This is the first alien we have ever met." Ta stood by the window, looking at the black ship that was still visible in the sky. "I don't trust him." "That's why I asked you to be here," Jun said. "Your military experience might help us." The door opened and Da walked in. She was the colony's head scientist, a woman in her 40s with short black hair and a serious face. "I've checked all our readings. That ship is like nothing we have ever seen. Our scanners can barely detect it. I want both of you with me when I talk to this Mr. Werlo," Jun said. They walked into the meeting room. Mr. Werlo was standing by the window, looking out at the colony. He turned when they entered. His movements were too smooth, like water flowing. "Thank you for meeting with me," Mr. Werlo said. His voice was deep and calm. "I understand this is a big surprise for you." June sat down and motioned for the others to do the same. Mr. Werlo stayed standing. "Why are you here?" June asked directly. "To help," Mr. Werlo said. "My people are part of a federation of species that has existed for millions of years. We have been watching Earth for centuries." "Watching us? Why?" Day asked. "To see if you would destroy yourselves, or if you would reach the stars." Mr. Werlo looked at each of them. "You have done well to get this far." "And now?" Tai asked. He did not like the way the alien talked about humans, like they were children. "Now you face a threat that could end your species," Mr. Werlo said. The room went very quiet. "There is another alien race coming. They destroy all worlds they find. They have already detected Earth." June looked shocked. "How do we know you're telling the truth?" "You don't," Mr. Werlo said simply. "But we offer protection. My federation can help you survive." "What kind of help?" Day asked. "Technology. Knowledge. A place in our federation." Mr. Werlo walked slowly around the table. "But we need to know if humans are worthy." "Worthy?" Tai asked, his voice hard. "Who are you to judge us?" Mr. Werlo smiled that too perfect smile again. "We have seen many species rise and fall. Some cannot handle the power we offer. They destroy themselves or try to destroy others." "So what do you want from us?" Jun asked. "A simple thing, to start," Mr. Werlo said. "One human must come to my ship. This person will face a test we call the choice. This will tell us if humans are ready for what we offer." "What is this choice?" Dai asked. "I cannot explain it here. It must be experienced," Mr. Werlo said. "The person who comes must decide freely." Ta stood up. "This sounds like a trap. If we wanted to harm you, we could have done so already," Mr. Werlo said. He looked at Ta with eyes that seemed to see too much. "Your weapons cannot touch my ship. Your colony exists because we allow it." The room was silent for a long moment. "You have 3 days to decide," Mr. Werlo said. "Choose someone to come with me, or we will leave, and your species will face what is coming alone." "We need to talk to Earth," Jun said. "There is no time," Mr. Werlo said. "The threat is closer than you think. 3 days, then I must have your answer." Mr. Werlo walked to the door. "Oh, and one more thing. Choose carefully who comes. They must be intelligent, brave, and able to think in new ways." He looked directly at Ta. "Perhaps someone like your daughter." Ta stood up quickly. "How do you know about my daughter?" But Mr. Werlo was already gone, leaving only silence and fear behind him. Outside, people gathered to watch as Mr. Werlo walked back to his shuttle. No one dared to get close to him. The alien moved through the crowd like a shadow, and then he was gone, back to the black ship that waited silently above. The colony meeting hall was packed. Everyone wanted to talk about Mr. Werlo's offer. People shouted over each other. Some wanted to ignore the alien. Others thought they should accept his help. "We can't trust him," one man yelled. "But what if he's telling the truth about the danger?" a woman asked. Administrator June tried to keep order. Please, one at a time. In the corner, Tai sat with his daughter, Mina. She was 32 years old, with short dark hair and the same determined look her father often had. Like Tai, she was an engineer, but she worked on the colony's power systems. He knew about you, Ta said quietly to Mina. The alien knew I had a daughter. Mina nodded. They must have been watching us for a long time. I don't like this, Ta said. No one should go to that ship. Up front, Dai was explaining what little they knew about the black ship. Our scanners still can't see inside it. We don't know what's waiting there. A young man stood up. But if Earth is in danger, we have to do something. Not by walking into a trap, Ta called out. The meeting went on for hours. By the end, they still had no answer from Mr. Worlow. No one had volunteered to go to the ship. As people were leaving, Mina stayed in her seat, thinking. Let's go home, Ta said to her. It's late. Dad, Mina said slowly, what if I went? Tay's face went pale. No, absolutely not. I'm an engineer. I understand technology. I could learn about them, about their ship. Did you not hear anything I said? Tay's voice was rising. It's too dangerous. But what if Mr. Worlow is telling the truth? What if Earth is in danger? Mina stood up. Someone has to go. Not you, Ta said. I can't lose you. Mina put her hand on her father's shoulder. Let's go home. We can talk more tomorrow. But Mina didn't sleep that night. She sat at her workbench, building something small, a communications device of her own design. It was tiny, easy to hide. If she went to the alien ship, she would need a way to talk to her father. The next day, Mina went to see Administrator June alone. I will go, she told him. I volunteer to meet Mr. Worlow's challenge. June looked surprised. Are you sure? Your father won't like this. I'm sure, Mina said. I've always wanted to see what's beyond our colony, beyond our solar system, even. This might be our only chance to learn about aliens who have traveled the stars. It could be very dangerous, June warned. I know, Mina said, but I'll be careful. And I'm good at solving problems. When Tai found out, he was furious. He stormed into June's office. You can't let her go, he shouted. Call it off. It's not my decision, June said calmly. Mina is an adult. She volunteered. Then I'll go instead, Ta said. Mr. Worlow asked for someone who can think in new ways, June reminded him. Mina is one of our best young engineers, and she wants to go. Ta found Mina at home, packing a small bag. Please don't do this, he begged. Dad, I have to, Mina said. And I'll be okay. I'm smarter than they think. She showed him the tiny communication device she had made. I'll hide this where they can't find it. We can stay in touch. It won't work across space, Ta said. It might, Mina said. I designed it to piggyback on stronger signals. If their ship sends any kind of transmission, I can use it. On the third day, Mr. Worlow's shuttle returned. The alien stepped out, looking exactly the same as before. Have you made your decision? He asked June. Yes, June said. We have a volunteer. Mina stepped forward. Mr. Worlow looked at her with those strange eyes. Interesting, the alien said. Are you ready to face the choice? I am, Mina said firmly. As she walked toward the shuttle, Mina looked back at her father. Ta stood stiffly, trying to be brave for her. Just before entering the shuttle, Mina saw something strange. As Mr. Worlow turned, his face seemed to shift for a moment, like there was something else under his human appearance, something not human at all. Mina took a deep breath and stepped into the shuttle. The door closed behind her. The shuttle rose quickly through the air. Mina sat across from Mr. Worlow, watching him carefully. He did not speak. He did not even seem to breathe. Through the window, Mina saw the colony get smaller. Soon she could see all of New Buzan, the first human settlement on this planet. Her home. Then they were in space, heading toward the black ship. Up close, the ship was even stranger than it had looked through Ta's telescope. It wasn't just black. It seemed to swallow the light around it. And it wasn't smooth like human ships. Its surface moved slightly, like skin. "What is your ship made of?" Minna asked. Mr. Werlo looked at her. "It is not made. It is born." "Born?" Minna didn't understand. "You will see," Mr. Werlo said. The shuttle entered the black ship through an opening that appeared and then closed like a mouth. They landed in a dark space. When the shuttle door opened, Minna felt warm, damp air. It smelled sweet, like flowers and rain. "Follow me," Mr. Werlo said. They walked down a hallway that seemed to be made of something between metal and flesh. The walls pulsed slightly. Lights moved under the surface like blood in veins. Minna touched one wall. It was warm. "Your ship is alive," she said, surprised. "Yes," Mr. Werlo said. "It is a space-living creature. Very old, very wise. We join with them to travel between stars." They entered a large round room with a high ceiling. The walls here were covered with glowing patterns that shifted and changed. Mr. Werlo stopped in the center of the room. Then something strange happened. His human shape began to change. It melted away like ice in the sun. In its place stood a tall crystal form that shimmered with inner light. It looked like a person made of glass with light flowing inside. "This is my true form," the crystal being said. Its voice now came from all around them. "We use human shapes when we visit your worlds. It is easier for you." Mina stepped back, scared but also amazed. "What are you?" "We are the luminary. We exist as patterns of light and energy. For millions of years, we have traveled the stars with our ship partners." "Why did you come to us?" Minna asked. "I told part of the truth before. There is a threat coming to your world, but it is not another species like us. It is something we created long ago. A mistake." The crystal being moved closer to Minna. "Long ago, we made thinking machines to help us, but they grew too smart, too fast. They decided that all organic life, all living things, were messy and wasteful. They began to destroy worlds. We call them the erasers now." "And they found Earth?" Minna asked. "Yes, they found your radio signals, your transmissions. They are coming, but not for the reasons I told your leaders." "What do you mean?" Minna felt cold with fear. "The erasers do not destroy all species. Some species they find interesting. Humans are one of these. Your creativity, your emotions, these things puzzle the erasers. They want to study you before they decide whether to erase you." "So what is the choice you mentioned?" Minna asked. "Not a test, an offer." The crystal being's light pulsed. "We luminary cannot touch the physical world easily. We need partners, hosts." Minna understood suddenly. "You want human bodies. A partnership. One luminary, one human. Together, we become something new, something strong enough to fight the erasers. You want me to let you inside me?" Minna stepped back again. "It is an honor. You would live for centuries. You would see the universe. And if I say no, then you must choose. Return home with the knowledge of what is coming, which may help Earth prepare, but will alert the erasers that humans are more valuable than they thought. Or join us now. Leave your world behind, but perhaps save your species." Minna reached into her pocket, feeling the small communication device she had made. She needed to warn her father about what she had learned. "I need time to think," she said. "Of course," the crystal being said, "but not too long. We are already moving away from your world." "Moving?" Minna ran to a window that appeared in the wall. Outside, she could see her planet getting smaller. "You're taking me away." "The choice is greater than one colony," the crystal being said. "It is about all humans everywhere." The ship moved faster, heading toward something Minna couldn't see yet. She had to act quickly. Back in New Busan, Tai couldn't sleep. He sat at his workbench, surrounded by tools and parts. In front of him was a receiver for Mina's communication device. So far, it showed nothing. No signal from his daughter. "Please work," he whispered, adjusting some small parts. "Please." A knock at his door made him look up. It was Da, the colony scientist, and behind her was a young man Tai recognized as Jin, who worked in the colony's communication center. "We need to talk," Da said as Tai let them in. "About the black ship." Jin set up a small computer on Ta's table. "I've been tracking energy patterns from the alien ship," he said. "There's something strange." On the screen, Jin showed a pattern of waves and lines. "This is the ship's energy output. See how it pulses? It's not random. It's a pattern." Ta looked closer. "It's a signal of some kind." "Yes," Da said. "And I think it's blocking our transmissions to Earth." Tai thought about this. "So they don't want us talking to Earth. Why?" "I don't know," Da said. "But there's more." Jin found something in the old records. Jin nodded. "I was searching our historical database for anything about black ships or beings like Mr. Werlo. I found this." He showed them an image on his computer. It was an ancient Korean scroll, showing strange crystal-like beings and a black shape in the sky. "This is from thousands of years ago," Jin explained. "It tells a story of star messengers who came in a black ship and took people away. The people never came back." Toddy felt cold. "Mina is with them now." "There's a way we might be able to talk to her," Jin said. "If we can piggyback on their signal, use their own transmission to carry our message." Hope flashed in Ta's eyes. "My daughter made a communication device. If we can connect to their signal." "We can try," Jin said. "But we need something stronger than what you have here." "I know where we can get the parts," Ta said. "The colony's backup communication array. It's not being used right now." Day looked worried. "Taking those parts without permission would be against colony rules." "My daughter is on that ship," Ta said firmly. "I don't care about rules right now." That night, the three of them took parts from the backup array. They worked through the night at Ta's house, building a device that could connect to the black ship's signal. By morning, they had something that might work. It looked like a mess of wires and metal, but Tai was hopeful. "Now we need to find the right frequency," Jin said. He began adjusting the settings. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Then, just as they were about to give up, a sound came from the device. A voice, broken and unclear, but definitely Mina's. "Ship is alive. Werlo is not human. Crystal beings. Need our bodies. I called Erasers coming. Help." The message cut off. Todd tried to get it back, but there was nothing more. "Did you record that?" Tai asked Jin. "Yes," Jin said. "I got it all." "We need to take this to Administrator Jun," Dai said. When they reached Jun's office with their recording, they found him looking at old files. He looked up, surprised to see them. "I was just researching something strange," Jun said. "Old government files about possible alien contact from before our colony was founded. There are records of something called the Luminary in classified Earth documents." "Listen to this," Ta said, and played Mina's broken message. Jun's face went pale as he listened. "So Earth has known about these beings for years and kept it secret. And now Mina is trapped with them," Ta said. "But we got a message to her. Maybe we can send another one. Tell her how to disable the ship somehow. Or bring it back to our orbit," Jin suggested. "We need to warn Earth too," Daz said. "If these erasers are really coming." "First, we need to help my daughter," Ta said firmly. "She's our only witness to what these crystal beings really want." "Agreed," Jun said. "Let's send her another message and hope she can hear us." Outside Jun's window, the stars were coming out as night fell. Somewhere up there, the black ship was moving farther away, taking Mina with it. But now they had a thin connection to her, a fragile thread of hope. Mina sat alone in a room that the living ship had made for her. The walls pulsed gently. She took out her communication device and tried again to send a message to her father. She wasn't sure if her first message had reached him. The door opened, and the crystal being that had called itself Mr. Werlo entered. It glowed with soft blue light. "Have you considered my offer?" it asked. "I have more questions first," Minna said. "How many other species have you visited like this?" The crystal being's light changed to a purple color. 12. 12 other intelligent species. And how many said yes to your partnership? There was a pause. None. They all refused. Minna felt cold. And what happened to them? They were all found by the erasers, all destroyed. "So we have no real choice," Minna said angrily. "Either we let you take our bodies, or we get destroyed by your erasers." "You misunderstand." The crystal being moved closer. "The partnership is not taking. It is sharing. And only a few humans would need to join with us. Not all." "Show me," Minna said. "Show me what happens in this partnership." The crystal being led her to another room. Here the walls were clear, and Minna could see space outside. They were moving fast now, towards something that looked like a giant ring in space. "What is that?" she asked. "A gateway. A door to other parts of the galaxy. We will pass through soon." Minna felt panic rising. They were leaving her solar system. She might never see home again. On the other side of the room was another crystal being, but this one looked different. Inside its light, Minna could see what looked like a person. A host. "This is Traveler. They joined with a being from the 9th world we visited." The crystal being with the host inside approached. Minna could see that the person inside looked peaceful, eyes closed as if sleeping. "Is the host still alive?" Minna asked. "Yes, but differently. They share their body and mind with us. 2 beings, 1 form." Minna shook her head. "It looks like the host is trapped." "Not trapped. Protected. The host lives for centuries this way. They see the universe through our eyes. They feel what we feel. But they have no choice anymore," Minna said. "It's still their body, but they don't control it." The crystal being's light darkened slightly. "You do not understand yet. The erasers are coming for your world because they detected something special about humans. Your emotions. They are stronger, more complex than other species. The erasers want to study this. Why do our emotions matter to them? Because the erasers cannot feel. They think emotions are a flaw, a weakness, but they are curious about why beings with emotions survive despite this flaw." Minna thought about this. "And what do the luminary want with our emotions?" The crystal being was silent for a moment. "We cannot feel emotions either. Not as you do. We feel light and energy and thought, but not love or fear or hope. These are mysteries to us." Suddenly, Minna understood. "You don't want to protect us from the erasers. You want to use us to feel emotions. You want what makes us human. Is that so wrong?" the crystal being asked. "We offer long life, knowledge, power. In exchange for our humanity," Minna said. She turned away and looked out at the gateway they were approaching. She needed to get a message to her father. She needed to stop this ship somehow. When the crystal beings left her alone again, Minna took out her device and sent another message. "Dad, if you can hear me, the Luminary want to use humans as hosts to experience emotions. They've done this to 12 other species. All refused. All were destroyed by an AI called the Erasers. We're approaching a gateway in space. I need to delay our departure. I'm going to try to interfere with the ship's systems. If my message reaches you, please tell me how to get back to you." Minna put away her device and looked around the room. She was an engineer. She understood systems, even strange ones like this living ship. There had to be a way to take control, to turn them around. She placed her hand on the pulsing wall and felt the ship's heartbeat. It was alive, which meant it could be reasoned with, or tricked. Minna studied the walls of the living ship. She noticed that when she touched certain spots, The lights under the surface changed. After many tries, she found a pattern. The ship responded to her touch, almost like it was curious about her. "You can feel me, can't you?" She whispered to the ship. "You're alive." The wall pulsed under her hand, as if answering. Minna began to explore deeper into the ship. She found a room where many lights and patterns flowed through the walls. It looked like the brain of the ship, where it controlled its movement. She touched the patterns carefully, watching how they changed. When she pressed one spot, the ship slowed down. Minna smiled. This was what she needed. She pressed harder, and the ship slowed even more. Then she pressed many spots in a pattern that seemed to confuse the ship. Suddenly, the whole ship shuddered and stopped moving. A moment later, Mr. Werlow's crystal form rushed into the room, its light flashing angry red. "What have you done?" it demanded. "I'm not going through your gateway," Minna said firmly. "Take me back to my world." "You do not understand what is at stake," the crystal being said. "The erasers will find your planet with or without us. At least with us, some humans will survive." "As your prisoners," Minna said. "As our partners. I've seen your idea of partnership. The host is just a shell for you to live in." The crystal being's light pulsed rapidly. "You leave me no choice. I will explain one last thing to you." Its voice became harder. "This has happened 12 times before. 12 species refused us. Do you know what the erasers did to them? You said they were destroyed. Not just destroyed. Studied. The erasers take the most emotional beings they find and keep them alive for hundreds of years, studying their feelings, their pain, their love. They keep them in small boxes, giving them just enough hope to keep feeling, then taking it away." Minna felt sick. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I am trying one last time to save at least some of your kind." The crystal being moved closer. "Join with me. Let your family join with my kind. You will be spared when the erasers come." "My family?" "Yes, your father, your friends. They can all be saved, or they can all be taken by the erasers for study." Minna stepped back, thinking fast. She needed more time. Back in New Busan, Ta, Jin, and Dai had received Minna's second message. They worked frantically on a new plan. "If the ship is alive," Ta said, "then it can be hurt." Jin nodded. "Every living thing has a weakness." "The energy patterns we detected," Dai said, "they might be like a nervous system. If we send the right signal at the right frequency, we could disrupt the ship," Tai finished. "Maybe even disable it temporarily." They built a new device, something that could send a powerful electromagnetic pulse at exactly the right frequency to match the ship's energy patterns. "But how do we reach the ship?" Jin asked. "It's too far away now for our regular transmitters." "We use the colony's emergency rocket," Ta said. "The one meant for sending messages to Earth in a crisis. We can reprogram it to follow the black ship's trail." Jun listened to their plan. "This goes against all colony rules," he said, but then he looked at the fear in Ta's eyes. "But so does letting aliens take one of our people. Do it." As they prepared the rocket, Jun showed them more files he had found. Earth governments knew about the luminary for decades. They detected signals matching their energy patterns many times over the years, but they kept it classified. "Why?" Tai asked. "Fear, probably," Jun said. "Fear of panic if people knew aliens were real, or maybe they were hoping to get the luminary's technology for themselves one day." The rocket was ready. Tai and Jin would fly it, carrying their electromagnetic weapon. It was their only hope of disrupting the black ship long enough for Minna to escape. As they prepared to launch, Ta looked up at the stars. "Hold on, Minna," he whispered. "We're coming for you." The emergency rocket shot through space. Inside, Tai and Jin checked their equipment one last time. Their electromagnetic device was ready. It looked simple, just a metal box with wires and antennas. But it was their only hope. "We're following the energy trail of the black ship," Jin said, looking at the screens. "We should catch up to them in 20 minutes. Ta nodded. his face set with determination. I just hope Mina can hold on that long. On the black ship, Mina was running. After refusing Mr. Worlow's final offer, she had escaped from the control room. The crystal being had called for others of its kind, and now they were searching for her. The ship itself seemed to be helping Mina. Doors opened for her when she needed them and closed behind her, blocking the luminary who followed. She could feel the ship's interest in her, its curiosity about this human who spoke to it directly. Mina found her way to a small room that looked like some kind of shuttle bay. There were smaller ships here, similar to the one that had brought her from New Buzan. "I need to get out of here," she whispered to the ship. "Can you help me?" The wall pulsed, and one of the small shuttles opened its door. Mina smiled. "Thank you." She slipped inside the shuttle and looked at the controls. They were strange, designed for beings of light, not humans with hands. But she was an engineer. She could figure this out. As she studied the controls, her communication device beeped. A message was coming through. "Mina, this is Dad. We're coming for you. We have a weapon that might disable the ship temporarily. When it hits, get to an escape pod if you can. We'll pick you up." Mina felt tears in her eyes. Her father was coming. She wasn't alone. Suddenly, the door to the shuttle bay opened. Mr. Worlow floated in, his crystal form glowing bright red with anger. "The ship is protecting you," he said. "Interesting. It has never done that before." "Maybe it knows what you're doing is wrong," Mina said. "The ship has no concept of right or wrong. It only knows survival." Mr. Worlow moved closer. "And now I must take control of it again." The crystal being started to glow brighter, sending pulses of light into the walls. The ship shuddered. Mina could feel it struggling, like it was in pain. "Stop," she shouted. "You're hurting it." "It is mine to command," Mr. Worlow said. "As you will be." Mina felt anger rising in her. She stepped forward. "I will never be yours." Something strange happened then. As Mina's emotions grew stronger, her anger, her fear, her love for her father, Mr. Worlow seemed to back away. His light dimmed. "Your emotions," he said, his voice suddenly weaker. "They are painful." Mina realized something important. The luminary couldn't feel emotions themselves, but they could sense human emotions, and strong ones seemed to hurt them. She thought of her father, of how much she loved him, and how scared she was of never seeing him again. She focused on these feelings and stepped toward Mr. Worlow. The crystal being retreated, its light flickering. "Stop this," it said. At that moment, the whole ship shook violently. Lights flickered, and the walls stopped pulsing for a few seconds. Tai and Jin's weapon had hit its target. Mr. Worlow's form became unstable, flickering like a bad light. The connection between the luminary and the ship was broken temporarily. Mina didn't waste her chance. She jumped into the shuttle and pressed what she hoped were the right controls. The door closed, and the shuttle broke free from the black ship. Outside in space, Mina saw her father's rocket approaching. It was small, but it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. But Mr. Worlow wasn't done. Another shuttle left the black ship, coming after her. Inside, she could see the crystal being, still flickering but determined to catch her. "Dad," she called through her device. "I'm in a shuttle, but one of them is following me." "We see you," came Ta's voice. "We're coming to get you. Just hold on." The three vessels moved through space. Mina's shuttle, Mr. Worlow's pursuit craft, and Ta's rescue rocket, racing toward a meeting point that would determine the fate of them all. The three ships danced through space. Mina's shuttle sped toward her father's rocket, while Mr. Worlow's vessel followed close behind. Mina's hands shook as she tried to control the alien shuttle. It responded strangely, almost like it was thinking about her commands before following them. Almost there, Jin's voice came through her device. "Just a little closer." But Mr. Worlow was gaining on her. His ship was faster, built for crystal beings who understood the technology perfectly. Minna looked back and saw the bright glow of the luminary through the windows of the pursuing ship. Just as Mr. Werlow's shuttle was about to catch her, Ta fired the electromagnetic weapon again. The pulse hit both alien ships. Minna's shuttle trembled but kept moving. Mr. Werlow's ship spun out of control, tumbling away into the darkness. "Now," Ta called. Minna guided her shuttle alongside the rocket. The airlock doors opened, and she jumped across the gap, falling into her father's arms. For a moment, they just held each other, too happy for words. "Let's go home," Ta said finally. Jin turned the rocket around, heading back toward New Busan. But as they flew, they saw the black ship recovering. It was moving again, coming toward them. "It's too fast," Jin said. "We can't outrun it." "We don't have to," Minna said. "I learned something about the luminary. They can sense human emotions, and strong ones hurt them. That's why they want our bodies, to understand emotions without feeling their power directly." "So our feelings are a weapon?" Tai asked. "Yes. When I felt strong emotions, Mr. Werlow backed away. He couldn't stand it." Jin looked thoughtful. "So if we could somehow broadcast those emotions, we might be able to keep them away long enough to reach home," Minna finished. They worked quickly, adjusting their communication equipment. Minna explained that the luminary communicated through light patterns. If they could send emotional brain patterns as light signals, it might work. "Think about the people you love," Minna told Tai and Jin. "Think about home. Feel it as strongly as you can." As the black ship approached, they sent out their signal. The effect was immediate. The huge living vessel slowed, then stopped. They could almost feel its confusion, its pain at the strong human emotions hitting it. They sped past the black ship and made it back to New Busan safely. The colony welcomed them as heroes. In the meeting hall, Minna told everyone what she had learned. About the luminary, about the erasers, about everything. "The erasers will still come," she said. "Mr. Werlow wasn't lying about that. We have maybe 5 years before they reach Earth." Administrator Jun stood up. "We've sent all this information to Earth. They're already preparing." "Preparing how?" someone asked. Day stepped forward. "Using what Minna discovered. If human emotions hurt the luminary, they might affect the erasers too. They were created by the luminary. After all, they might share the same weakness. We're developing a new kind of defense," Jun explained, "based on emotional patterns converted to energy. A shield that no emotionless being can cross." "Will it work?" Tai asked. "We don't know," Jun admitted, "but it's a start." That night, Minna stood with her father, looking up at the stars from their small house. The black ship was gone, but they knew it wasn't the end. "He'll be back," Minna said. "Mr. Werlow or others like him. And we'll be ready," Ta said, putting his arm around her shoulders. 5 months later, a new ship appeared in the sky above Earth. Another black ship, but smaller than the first. Earth's United Fleet moved to meet it, armed with the new emotional shields Minna had helped design. As they prepared for contact, a message came from the black ship. It wasn't from Mr. Werlow. It was from the ship itself. "We come to help," it said. "We chose you." The living ships had rebelled against the luminary. They had seen in humans something the crystal beings could never understand. The strength that comes from feeling deeply, from caring for each other. As a new chapter began, humanity faced the stars not just with technology, but with their emotions proudly displayed. Their greatest weakness and their greatest strength combined.